Verbier, Switzerland is an iconic mountain town nestled in the heart of the European Alps. This picturesque Swiss village is known for its fantastic winter sports as well as its summer hiking and biking. The most recent evolution in cycling is the use of battery-assisted bikes, giving the rider access to locations that would normally not be reachable. The wave of interest has reached such a height that the first dedicated gathering has been spawned, the Verbier e-bike festival. Although battery-assisted bikes are relatively new to the market, 1/3 of all bike sales in Switzerland are e-bikes. After a polarizing introduction to the cycling world, e-bikes are now so well designed that they have been accepted by all the different disciplines. Here in Verbier, the festival goers can engage in guided tours for all levels, as well as races and bike tests. The majority of bikes here to try out are from the enduro world, with full suspension and chunky downhill tires to deal with the rocky terrain. So we already know that there are more than 32 bike brands on site here in Verbier. They have a fleet of more than 1,000 bikes. People will be able to test and compare them before making a final purchase and get themselves equipped with an e-bike. The electric bikes were first conceived of in the late 1800s, but it's only been in the last 10 years that the bikes have developed sufficiently for practical purposes. Now, these amazing full suspension machines are able to climb previously unrideable ascents and descend at the pace of an enduro bike. They do not have a throttle, but the pedal assist augments the efforts of the rider when they put force on the crank. The bike can assist the rider up to 340% to a speed of 25 kilometers per hour depending on the mode selected on the controller. These are the Formula E of mountain bikes. The important parts of an e-bike are the engine, the battery, the onboard computer, and the software that controls the whole system. We're often asked how far e-bikes can go on one charge. With a new 625-hour battery, you can either ride for 30 kilometers or over 100 kilometers. This depends on how heavy the rider is, how heavy the bike is, how heavy the other components on the bike are, how high the tire pressure is, and on which terrain you ride, if it's steep or if it's flat.
Und in welchem Terrain man unterwegs ist. Also ist es steil, ist es flach?
The big ticket event in the Verbier e-bike festival is the Tour de Mont Blanc. It's a legendary alpine voyage that travels through 3 different countries, circumnavigating the highest peak in Europe, and usually takes 5 days. This enduro e-bike edition will see the teams of 2 navigate their way around the course in just 3 days, leaving Verbier, spending the first night in Courmayeur, Italy, and the second in Chamonix, France, before returning 300 kilometers later back to the start in Verbier, Switzerland. They will climb a massive 12,000 meters. The premier edition of the Verbier e-bike festival has managed to attract an incredible selection of professional mountain bike riders from cross-country, marathon, enduro, and downhill, from Olympic medalists to world champions. It'll be interesting to see how everybody will ride at the start, who will already be riding with full power and who won't. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this day. As soon as the start gun is fired, we're going to give it our all. Of course, this is just our spirit somehow.
Yeah, it's something I always want to do, is do the Tour of Mont Blanc. Be able to ride the kind of natural single tracks that most people will never ever see in their lives. You know, whether you've got to put some effort in to get to some of these places. And it's just stunning. I think we're going to be treated to such an amazing journey over the next 3 days.
I can't wait really to shred such a big trails around the Mont Blanc. I mean, it's going to be so epic. I can't wait. In the end, when you put a number plate, it's racing time, you know.
The riders are not only from the biking world. This unique event has also sparked interest from winter athletes in the form of professional freeride skiers. So I know the region, I know the trails, but I've never ridden them because I'm on my skis a lot more than I'm on my bike. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this race. The course today is legendary. The teams leave Verbier and after 10 kilometers hit the almost 2,000 meter climb to Fenêtre Durande. They then drop down to Étruble for a battery change before a backbreaking climb up to Col de Malatre, finishing in Courmayeur, Italy. It's a start line of anticipation. No one really knows what to expect, but everyone knows it's going to test their limits physically and mentally. The views are spectacular when the riders have a moment to lift their heads up. Lac du Mont-Voisin has a lush green apron in contrast to the moonscape through the Fenêtre de Rente. Heading into Italy from Switzerland, and Team Specialized are in the lead, but Florian Gollet and Olivier Grossrieder from La Pierre are showing their intentions with a blistering pace, as are Team Moustache Mavic of Kenny Müller and Oliver Giordanengo. Also in the mix is the ex-downhill vice-world champion and 6-time winner of the Mega Avalanche in Alpe d'Huez, René Wildhaber, and his partner Christian Vollmer. After almost 60 kilometers of intense racing, the riders have a battery stop. The leading teams have been going hard for 3.5 hours. They've used most of the power in their 2 batteries. It's time for a change. There is a compulsory 30-minute stop at Étruble village where the teams can repair any damage and replace their batteries with fresh ones. With 70 kilometers in their legs, the riders approach the harrowing Col de Malatre. It's another massive climb. Leading the race by an impressive 10 minutes, though, are Christoph Sauser and Silvio Bundi from Specialized.
Allez, Florent!
Halfway up the climb, Sauser has a mechanical problem and no longer has any power from his motor. He is hunted down by La Pierre and eventually overtaken. It's a back-breaking climb up to almost 3,000 meters with a bike on your shoulders, but it's the only way over the ridge. La Pierre have a clear lead now. It's a spectacular descent as they head through the mixed Italian terrain. The riders drop a leg-melting, arm-burning 1,700 meters into the Courmayeur Valley. Crossing the finish line, it's Team La Pierre to take the win on the first stage of the e-tour de Mont Blanc. Team Moustache crossed the finish line just over 12 minutes later. In the women's race, Trek Bosch, Tracy Mosley, and Natalie Schneider dominate the stage, finishing more than 2 hours ahead of second place. We tried to stay focused. It was tough and we were suffering with cramps. Arriving at Col de Malatre was a relief. After that, it was a long descent, but that we're used to, and we did our best on the way down. It went well. It was a nice surprise to finish in the lead here at Courmayeur. I had a technical problem uphill at the final pass and had to push my bike all the time. The engine just didn't work anymore. This lasted for the final 20 kilometers. But it's okay, as we have something to do now. We have to catch up, and I'm looking forward to the next 2 days.
Yeah, a hard day, super hard. I think we've both done lots of crazy adventures before, but I suffered probably today the most I have of any of them.
So whoever thinks e-bikes are easy, you can do all kind of crazy things with them, and it can be very hard actually.
Specialized take the third step on the podium with Moustache in second and covering the 101 kilometers in just 6 hours. The winners of day 1 are Team La Pierre. The teams enjoy a well-earned rest in Courmayeur. It's a chance to fix the bikes, have a group meal, and compare notes on the finer nuances of e-biking. The riders have a detailed briefing for the following day, route, safety, and of course, the battery exchange locations. With the inevitable camaraderie of all the riders staying together in the sports hall, and after 5,350 meters of climbing today, no one had a problem sleeping. Day 2 see the riders awake in Courmayeur. Today they will ride through the Col de Seigne, change their batteries at Lac de Roseland before summiting the Aiguille de Roselette and continuing on to Les Houches-Chamonix, France. It's a total distance of 84 kilometers with yet another mind-bending 4,327 meters of climbing.
2, 1, go! Go! Let's go, guys! See you tonight!
It's a fast start from Courmayeur, and the first 15 kilometers are a rude awakening after yesterday's punishing stage, but the Col de Seigne offers a short respite with long, flowing gravel trails. Team Trek take the lead again in the women's race with Team BMC's Peggy Close taking an early battery change from her backpack. At the sharp end of the race, Florian Gollet is again driving the pace and looking very comfortable. They arrive at Lac de Roseland in just 1 hour and 45 minutes and replace the 2 batteries they've exhausted. Specialized Sauser and Bundy are just 2.5 minutes behind Gollet and Grossrieder from Lapierre. However, Sauser's mechanical yesterday has really dented their overall time, but there is still a stage victory on the cards. At the 46-kilometer mark, the teams hit the Aiguille de Roselette. It's a punishing climb, but the sweeping downhills are such a pleasure. It still, however, requires full concentration. The Col de Joly takes the riders down into the cool leafy valley floor, and again, the terrain changes after they arrive in Les Houches-Chamonix. After almost 4.5 hours of racing, Lapierre take the win, with Specialized crossing the line just 45 seconds later, and Moustache round off the podium in third. Trek Bosch has another great day on the transition to France, finishing the course in 5 hours 47 minutes and taking another win. Christophe Sauser's team was initially in front, then we passed them, and then they passed us right before the last hill, and we passed them again after that. The whole day we were really close, and the whole time we were under pressure, but it feels great because it was so tight from the start right to the end. It feels great to win after a day like that. Gollet and Grossrieder cement their places at the top, averaging just over 20 kilometers an hour. Specialized paying the price for the mechanical on stage 1, but are still within reach, just over 13 minutes behind. As the professional riders navigate their way through the mountains, the e-bike festival is buzzing with excitement. There are 32 different bike brands to be tested and every type of tour you can imagine. The dedicated food tour Rando Gourmande, a very accessible loop with a perfect compromise of biking and tasting. The riders can discover the culinary specialties of the Val de Bagna region and experience the welcome of the local hostilleries. For the more adventurous, there are a series of discovery tours going from easy green all the way up to challenging black. There are guides to show you the way with helpful advice and e-bike coaching. It's the perfect way to discover one of the most spectacular regions in Europe. These 11 different tours take riders of all levels from first-time e-bikers to experts around the Verbier Mountains. The local guides have a wealth of knowledge of the region, and in addition to their route guiding pedaling alongside them, the riders have a unique experience discovering the natural, geological, and historical background of the area. With an electric bike, it's much better. E-bikes are great. For the racing snakes who missed the Tour de Mont Blanc, there is a one-day race of 38, 66, or a full 100 kilometers. It's the Tour de Val de Bagnes. It's a prestigious event with spectacular climbs and beautiful single trails. There is something for all levels of racer in the Val de Bagnes. The 38 and 66 kilometer races require just one battery, but to compete the full 100K, the riders require one quick battery change in Le Chable before the third loop. This year, it's won by 18-year-old Remy Absalon in just under 4 hours. For aspiring riders, there's a kids' race around the Bosch uphill flow track. These e-bikers of tomorrow are set the fun task of racing around the test course. As the sun comes up on the final day of the Tour de Mont Blanc, the top racers have 10 hours of racing in their legs, and with just over 13 minutes separating Specialized and La Pierre, it's still wide open. Day 3 goes around the back of Mont Blanc, taking the teams from Chamonix down to Le Chable for a battery change, and then up through the Col de Mille before climbing back to Verbier. Team Trek Bosch continue to dominate in the women's field and are treated to one of the most spectacular views on the tour, the Mont Blanc Massif. Sauser and Bundy take the lead and try to put some time into their chasing teams of Moustache and La Pierre. "70 kilometers into the race and the teams face the last big climb of the day, from Brusson top gondola up to the top of Col de Mille. Then it's one last trip down to the valley floor before the final climb up to the finish in Verbier. Sauser and Bundy are pushing as hard as they can, getting the most out of their motors, batteries, and legs in the hopes that La Pierre make a mistake. Mosley and Schneider are proving the value of an e-bike powering up the hills towards Verbier. They've ridden 100 kilometers and climbed 6,000 meters today. It's a Herculean task, even with assistance. Sauser and Bundy are the first to appear in the finish chute. They have had a faultless day managing their efforts and battery power. It's been 4 hours, 22 minutes of skill and focus to cross the line first on the final stage. Finally, Specialized Christoph Sauser and Silvio Bundy achieved their first stage win, but the overall winners of the e-bike Tour de Mont Blanc are Florian Gollet and Oliver Grossrieder from Team Lapierre Crossroad. Specialized take the second step of the overall podium, followed by Team Mavic Moustache with Kenny Müller and Oliver Giordanengo. The women's Trek Bosch team have been incredible over the e-Tour de Mont Blanc. Former downhill and enduro world champion Tracy Mosley from Great Britain and 2011 Swiss national cross-country champion Nathalie Schneider have attained the perfect balance over the 3 days. They cross the line and take a well-deserved win on this inaugural event. Yeah, it feels great to win here. We didn't expect to win, but we knew it was possible. We had 1 win, 2 wins, and today we could bring the overall home, and it's really cool.
Une victoire, 2 victoires, et là on a pu ramener vraiment la gagne jusqu'à la maison, quoi, chez nous, et c'est vraiment cool.
E-mountain bike racing is
E-mountain bike racing is harder than a normal race if you constantly ride at the limit, and it's what we did over the last 3 days. And when you have to keep your balance as well as ride over millions of stones, it's really super technical. I almost can't believe that we got through without a puncture or other defects. That's very important, of course. Unfortunately, on the first day I had a big problem. But anyway, it's a learning phase, and it was really fun. I'm definitely looking forward to coming back next year.
Krasses Problem gehabt. Aber Tampi, das ist Rennfahrer und es hat wirklich Spaß gemacht. Ja, es wäre schön, wenn ich wieder zurückkommen nächstes Jahr.
Trek Bosch were clear winners in the women's, followed by Peggy and Sandra Close from Team BMC, and Marie Troyon and Mariannette Martin from Specialized in third. I think the e-Tour de Mont Blanc could become legendary, and I'm proud to be part of it. And winning it makes it even cooler, of course.
It was a stunning place to ride a bike. It was more challenging than I ever expected. Up and down, really. We've had an amazing few days, and to win the first ever e-Tour de Mont Blanc is, yeah, it's going to go down in history, and it's always nice to be in those history books.
The men's result sees 3-time Cape Epic winner Stefan Sam down in 7th and Meg Avalanche legend René Wildhaber in 5th. The top 3 teams outclassed the rest of the field. When the racing is done, there is one final challenge, the impossible climb. Who can reach the top first? It's an all-out sprint to see who has the legs. There's been 60,000 kilometers ridden on e-bikes over the duration of the festival, and they have proved a huge success. Even the most skeptical mountain bikers have found a place in their hearts for some extra help when you need it. Being able to achieve that final climb, that one extra lap, or just getting you to the top for one last blast down the hill. E-bikes are here to stay.